Welcome to Tea and Talk. I'm your host, Olivia Boughton. Today I'm joined by my friend, Terry Jarrosak. Terry, thank you so much for being here with me today.
My pleasure, Olivia. Good to see you.
As always, the same. Good to see you. So before we get talking, we have to start with tea. So first I'm going to tell you about the tea set because I told you this is special. This tea set, it's a Japanese tea set that we're using today, and it was given to me by Father Vincent Coppola.
Oh.
Many, many years ago. I thought you would appreciate that.
I do appreciate it, and like so many others, I miss him too.
I know. So for those of our viewers who don't know, Father Vinny was the pastor at St. Bridget's and St. Stanislaus Kostka churches in West Rutland for many years, and passed away in 2020. So we all missed him in this area, but we miss him.
And you know, you and I could just do a show about him.
I know, we could. So I said, well, Terry's coming on the show. I am going to use this tea set.
Oh, thank you for that surprise. that made my day right there.
Oh, I'm so glad. So because it's a Japanese tea set, I can't serve black tea in a Japanese tea set. So I am serving oolong today, which I think is your favorite.
It is my favorite. It is my favorite.
So an interesting thing about oolong tea, and I don't know if you know this, it is its own kind of tea. So there's black tea, green tea, white tea. Oolong is its own type of tea along those same lines.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not a flavor, it's actually a varietal, and it has to do with the amount of time that the leaves are fermented. So oolong is a little more than green, fermented a little longer than green, but less than black. So, but it comes from the same plant that we would get green tea leaves from or black tea leaves from. So, let me pour you a cup of oolong tea. Oops. Some for me. So I have honey as an option, or I have some sugar cubes. Would you like any sweetener in your tea?
You know, normally I would put something if it was green tea or black tea, but oolong, I like it straight up.
Perfect. I'm going to take it straight up as well. So,
can we toast?
Yes, let us toast.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Good to see you.
You too.
Oh, this is good.
I have approval.
It's very good.
I have approval.
So, Father Vinny.
Father Vinny, yeah.
Who would have thought you and I were working on the variety show?
Oh, yeah.
And we had our friend Jack Pulsifer, who said, "Let's get Father Vinny up here." And he just threw the comment out into the audience, and Father Vinny kicked off his shoes and ran up on stage and kicked off his shoes into the audience.
Yes, he did.
And that was probably one of the most fun moments I've ever had on a stage.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
Yep. And that was sort of the beginning of, the Father Vinny finale era. You know, every year it was who would he dress as, or in what costume would he dress, and what would his dance be like. It was a lot of fun,
Thanks for doing that show.
Thank you for doing that show. It was a lot of fun, good community time.
And Peg TV's Tommy Laypole was a big part of it for years as well.
Yes.
So that was great. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Olivia's bringing that show back. Okay, maybe
Terry.
Not. What did you put in this tea?
Yeah, I know, right? Jeez, I gotta check the staff, what they're doing to my tea.
So I'm glad you're doing a show. What's the show about? What am I doing
here? Well, today it's about you.
Oh, God.
It's about you.
Oh, wow.
So we want to hear about Terry, right? So people know you from your voice, obviously, on the radio station.
Partly cloudy today and a chance of snow and maybe some rain.
That's right.
How's that?
That's great. Okay. Exactly. Many people, if they just, shut their eyes, they'll be like, I know exactly who that person is.
Yeah.
Right? And you are a board member here at Peg TV. Right?
I am. And what a great group of people on the board. And a great group of people that work here.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
group is amazing.
So this is a very important, community resource, PEG TV. So
Yeah.
it's
Yep, I'm
It's,
proud to be part of it.
yes.
So PEG TV's celebrating its 30th anniversary.
Yes, it is.
But PEG TV goes back further than that because you want to know about me. Well, when I was in high school, we were lucky enough to have, I guess, the precursor to PEG TV. We had the local cable access TV station in our school.
Wow.
So that was a huge advantage, and
Yep.
I worked there with Jamie Rita Sr., Dave Sabatino, Ray Kulig, Martha Parker, Bill Johnson, Jack Wasick.
Oh my gosh.
Ray Kulig and Dave Sabatino and I and a couple of others went on to communication majors in school
Yeah.
and careers.
Was
so
that-
PEG TV really gave us our careers.
That's so interesting. Was that kind of when you first became interested in communications, or were you interested prior to that?
It's funny because I think I was always like in school plays and singing on stage and things like that. So being on stage, I feel more natural on stage than in an audience. So I think that started, my dad made me memorize the Gettysburg Address.
How old were you when?
Fifth grade.
Okay,
And-
so like 10.
Yeah,
Yeah,
10.
about 10.
And
Oh,
so,
wow.
and I recently came across the program
For
where everybody's in the program,
For
and
that
it's like
event?
so there's my name, 1960 something. That was it's pretty cool. Your mom was a big part of my growing up in West Rutland, so I wouldn't have grown up any other place if I had a choice. It was a great place to grow up.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this little statuette here was my mom's.
Aw.
So I have a little Marie remembrance here too.
Cheers,
This is-
Marie.
Yeah, nostalgia.
Yeah.
Nostalgia time. Nostalgia and
Yes.
tea.
So your mom and I
Yeah.
used to.
You got any good stories?
Yeah, we used
Okay.
to compete in spelling bees, and it was always the boys against the girls. And
Okay.
if you whittled it down, I knew that if I made it to one of the last boys, if I made it through the boy competition, I would have to face your mom because she would be, the same thing with the weekly reader quizzes and things like that. She was like, not that I'm competitive much, but I knew that I would have to face her. But she was always a great person. I really miss her.
Yeah.
And I know you do.
I do. And thank you for saying that. It's very sweet. So who often won?
Oh, your mom kicked my butt.
That's right.
Yes, she
Power
did.
to the girls.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah. The West Rutland community. It's just I know that's when we had the variety show and you mentioned the variety show, that was something you always talked about as host of the show, and I think it's obvious that it's always been an important piece of who you are, right? Who you
Yeah.
are now is heavily influenced by that
Absolutely.
that upbringing. Yeah.
Growing up there and being competitive, it's almost like I had a chip on my shoulder that I think I wanted to prove something that West Rutland was as good as any other place, and it was hard doing that. Let's see. My confidence often exceeded my ability. And it still does. I would be, I was rather cocky. I had no reason to be. But I felt like, hey, I'm going to prove that West Side's okay.
Yeah.
And I was never ashamed of where I came from,
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
And, but we had great teachers. We had a great community. It was, that it takes a village thing. Boy, I'll tell you, I've been yelled at and hit by many other parents. And that was what it was like growing up in West Side.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Did you have a favorite teacher?
We had a lot of good teachers. And here's to Seal Scott.
Oh, Seal.
So
Yes.
I'm telling you, not very often would you go back after, being around as long as I have and either go to a basketball game or a variety show where your first grade teacher is there.
Yeah.
How blessed am I to have Seal as still part of our lives? you know?
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
I know she'll see this. She's checking out this show.
I hope so. I really hope so. But we were lucky. We were lucky to have theater in English and sports programs. And I grew up when Frank Henchy was principal.
Oh, Frank Hinchy, yes.
Remember, we got called to his office once.
Just once?
You didn't want to get called there again.
Oh,
Yeah. It was scary.
I see.
I mean, yeah.
Yep. Put you in your place.
But I mean, growing up on the playground, I mean, we had a merry-go-round that it was basically a platform that spun around.
Okay.
Where you could get splinters and throw up. I mean, or if somebody got flung off, I don't know what the G-force on that thing was, but the kids were like flying off, hitting trees. I mean, if you grew up in West Rutland in the 60s, you were tough. You had to be, you know.
Yeah, well, if the toys are, throwing you into the woods. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting.
So we're going to maybe skip back to the beginnings of your communications life. If you want more tea, I can pour you more tea.
I'll have some more in a
Okay.
minute. Well, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, all right, let's do it.
Yeah, I'm not going to chug it or anything.
Okay, well,
So
there's
where are we
there's plenty of
skipping
tea.
to?
So you said in high school you were starting to get involved in communications, right, through the sort of precursor to PEG TV, as you put it. So then you went off to college and...
Yeah, by the time I got to college, and again, I had no reason to be cocky, but we had a theater program, so we had the New England Play Festival that we were part of, and we had done well. So we had already been on stage. A lot of us had been on stage in Boston, and we had done well in regional competitions. So it was. When I went to college, I was okay with that.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
how
I felt fairly confident.
So how did that translate to radio?
Because
Because being on the stage in front of people
right, that was easy to do.
is different.
Than it is, and competition in theater is cutthroat. It's as cutthroat as sports or anything else.
Yeah, yeah. Same for music.
I knew that I did not want to do that.
Yeah.
And I have a face and body built for radio, rather than I'm not going to be a leading man unless I'm a criminal, And even on camera, I've got you can see my shifty eyes. I feel shifty when I'm on camera. It's like, oh, look at that. What's he looking at? I'm not a good person.
There's lots of things to look at here. I'll
Yeah,
just say that. There are a lot of things to look at.
I'm not good on camera, and and on stage I liked it, but I usually played a thug or something like that.
Typecasting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, just walk. Oh, that's the thug right there. Oh, that guy that's overconfident. Yeah, let's pick him. So yeah, I figured I'd have to make a job somewhere, and I would listen to radio guys, and I'm like, boy, they don't even know what day it is or what time it is, and I remember, yesterday, I'm back on the air again, and I was like, hey, it's 8 o'clock. No, it's not. It's 9 o'clock. And I've become that guy.
You've become the guy.
I become the guy that I wanted to replace. So, but I think I've always used my voice. As part of whether I was on stage or in a band or whatever. So, like I said, being behind a microphone is pretty natural and fairly easy for me.
Yeah, yeah.
You knew there wouldn't be a problem with somebody talking during this interview, right?
Oh, no,
Okay.
no. I invite people on like you so that I can sit back and drink
have
my
your tea, yeah.
Yes,
Exactly.
afternoon tea for Olivia.
Yeah. But I think it was a kind of a natural thing for us. And, it was an easy transition.
Did you have a radio job in college?
They did not have a radio station there. They started making plans to build a radio station right after I graduated.
Oh, gosh.
Well, I graduated from a school in Massachusetts. And then I finished my college career at Castleton,
Yep.
where I did work on the radio station WIUV 91.3, where we made jingles.
Oh, gosh.
Learned how to do multi-tracking and things like that.
Yep.
And again, I had a great teacher there by the name of Bob Gershon. In high school, it was Marsh and Egan and Rayford and people that, again, had to yell at me to keep me in line, and when we had the television station, we would do the ball games. Our basketball team went to the state championships, and we covered the game all the way to the state championship. So I was more of a sports broadcaster back then, even before I went to college. But remember getting called into the office and, Terry Jarrosak, please report to the principal's office. I'm like, oh, God, what did I do now? And I get in there. There's the basketball coach, the principal, and the athletic director. We'd like to talk to you about your commentary during the basketball games.
Uh-oh.
How about this? Stick to play-by-play. No more commentary. Because apparently I said, listen, the coaches ought to be substituting now because he's up by 40 points over the other team. It might be nice to see some of these other guys get in the game as we're headed for the playoffs so they can get some more experience.
Oops.
I thought it made sense, but the coach, and then apparently some of the parents that saw the games agreed with me and decided to call the coach.
Oh,
and,
boy.
Yeah.
So you got yourself in a little hot water.
I did.
And that was probably the only time that happened, right? Right? Yeah.
The first of many. At one point in my radio career, I had an apology letter, and I just kept it blank and insert name here. So it was that really did happen.
Oh, Terry.
Yeah.
Oh, Terry. So before we stray too far, I know you've talked about the Polish Hour before. Were you ever on the air with Joe?
So I worked the Sunday morning shift back when radio was live all the time. There was no automation. And so I would do the early show, and then Joe would come in at 9 o'clock, and I would, have everything ready for Joe, and then Joe would do his Polish Hour, and then I would go back on and put on Casey Kasem, because nothing goes better than Polish Hour polkas followed by Casey Kasem America Top 40, so that was great.
Contrast.
Yeah, great contrast. So when Joe's daughter Carol got married, Mary and Joe had to go to the wedding, and Joe asked me to do him a favor. He said, will you do the Polish Hour? I'm like, life is hard enough, but I can't read this stuff. He goes, no, do it in English. Thank God.
That's right. He used to read a lot of things in both Polish and English.
The only thing I knew in Polish was swear words. I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
So
no, you couldn't on the radio. No.
So I was the only non-crucial to do that particular Polish Hour. So I'm honored to have that.
Wow.
And Mary still reminds me of that, by the way.
Oh, does she? Yeah.
So I still have some recordings. We have a compilation disc that an intern and I worked on. And it's a compilation of a few years. And it's the highlights of different, Joe doing the weather and talking about Bonnie's Beauty Salon and Gawet Marble and Granite,
Yes.
And
And the birthdays.
And the birthdays.
The birthdays.
Wishing happy birthday to people who have long passed.
Yes.
And it's a slice of history.
Yes.
VPR found out that we did it, and they did a story about it, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So
it's really neat that, it's that the local history, right?
Yeah,
the
it's a
local history that is happening all over, but sometimes that gets lost. And when it's able to be preserved and passed on and even shared with generations that didn't experience it, it's really special.
Yeah, if you see it and you want a copy of it, I'll burn you a copy. If you make a donation to the WSYB Christmas Fund this year. Just saying.
So, I know you have your radio career, but there's other things that you're interested in too.
Nah, there's not.
No?
Nope.
There's nothing else, right? I mean, you're sort of semi-retired now.
You know, my father always used to say I burned the candle at both ends because for years I played in a band on the mountain, and then I would have to come back and do the morning show the next day. So we'd be up late, and then there were times that I slept on the couch at the radio station because I had to. I mean, why bother going home? Just go right from the gig to the radio station and do the show. You know, it's. I don't do those late night gigs anymore.
Yeah.
I still play drums once in a while. And I became more interested in photography about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy that. I feel like I've always thought of myself as an observer passing through. And that's what we are all doing anyway. We're passing through. And
Sure.
so I like to go out and look at stuff.
So how did your interest in photography start?
You know,
Or is it kind of
the first time that I was ever at the, it's funny because I ran into Marianne Egan at the grocery store last week. And I said, you and Peter Marsh got me into the gallery in high school. I did pen and ink stuff back then. And I said, wow, now I'm in a gallery still and do art in the park, working with. So it's again, you don't know the marks as an educator, what you
so
foster
true.
in people,
That's so
even
true.
years later.
That's
So that's
true.
really, I think, where it got started with me, because I never pictured myself as an artist, but I do enjoy it. And many times I go out driving around looking at photographs and just seeing things and being out there. Rather than, streaming a video. Hey, let's watch the entire season of Billions or whatever people are streaming. It's
also a way that you're experiencing the natural world, right?
Yeah, and a lot of people, you just don't see it. I have a great story about that. So, based on I know this is going back to Bob Gershon from Castleton. I took a photography class from him, and for the first time I ever heard of Ansel Adams, I was in college. And he showed us this picture called Moonrise over Hernandez. It's a famous Ansel Adams shot where the moon is rising up over this adobe village as the sun is setting behind you. It is striking the village as the moon is coming up. So I did the same thing with Camel's Hump.
Oh, yeah.
And I wanted to get Camel's Hump when it's covered with ice and snow, but you can only do that in December, January, February, and March.
Yeah, when it's
sometimes
very
April.
cold, right?
Yeah, and it's got its own weather system, so it took me 4 years to get the shot because every time I went there, and you can only do it this one day a month to get the shot that I'm looking for, where the moon is coming up over the hump as the ice is being lit by the setting sun. And every time I went there, it'd be foggy, rainy, snowy, whatever. And I'm like, all right, I'll be back next month. And so 4 years later, I got the shot. And I remember the first time that I had it displayed, somebody was looking at it and go, hey, right time, right place, huh? I'm like, yeah, just a coincidence.
Yeah,
Yeah, it had nothing to do with going to the Naval Observatory, seeing what time the moon was going to come up, checking the azimuth of the moon and where it would be coming up over the hump. So it was like part science and part luck with the weather. But
but that's commitment, though.
it is. It is, and I'm happy with that shot. I mean, I love doing that.
Is that your favorite way to photograph, to kind of find some specific, almost impossible to get shot and then try to get that?
There are some shots like that. You know, I have a lady that has one of my photographs in Hawaii. And what's the town that burned? You guys know it. But I was... she had never been to Vermont before, and she wanted a photograph of Vermont. It was a big piece. I had it shipped to her. And I was watching the news, and it said, it's been 30 days since the fire in the town. And I'm like, oh my God, that's the town where the woman lives.
Oh, wow.
So I still had all of her information because I had to ship this photo to her.
Right, right.
So I called it, and it was like, net, net, net. And I'm like, oh my God, that's not even a normal busy signal. It must be
Right.
something happened
Right.
to her. And I said, I hope she's okay.
Yeah.
And then I called again like a day later.
Mm-hmm.
I became obsessed with this, trying to make sure that she was alive.
Yeah.
And
Right, because you met her. You
I
had
met
a
her.
personal connection
and
to her.
she chose my photo to be in her home,
Right, right.
in Hawaii, representing us.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, she has a piece of, and it might have, it was like Killington or Shrewsbury or something,
Okay.
a fall foliage shot.
Okay.
And I finally got through to leave her a message. I got an answering machine.
Mm-hmm.
And I left a message with my number, and I said, hey, I'm the guy that took the photo. Are you okay? Mm-hmm. And a day after that, I got a message that said, hey, this is Roxy in Hawaii. I got your message. I am alive. I'm okay. And your photo's okay.
Oh my God.
And I said, or she also went on to say that she can't make it back to her home right now, but her home was untouched, but there's no way to get back.
Wow.
And I started thinking, like, if something had happened and she was alive,
Yeah.
I had to ship her another one.
Yeah.
I had,
Yeah.
had to
Yeah.
do something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. What a special story, that
you can't make this stuff up, but life is so interesting.
life is very interesting.
God.
And when you make connections with people like that through your art, right, your photography, it's not just that, well, this lady bought my piece and it's in her house, right? You met her and you talked to her and you have that connection, and at the end of the day, right, that's what it's about. As we're talking here, we're talking about people that have impacted your life and the community.
But listen, look, you do this. You sing at funerals. You represent that family.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
It is cool. I consider that a really special opportunity
It's an
that
honor
I have.
to have you there.
It is, and it's how we support each other and connect with each other that at the end of the day is what matters in life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we're winding down with our time, so I'm going to ask you a question that I asked on my last show.
Okay.
And that is, what do you love? And it could be most or not, but what do you love about living in this area of Vermont?
It's so funny because, especially asking me this question this time of year, and I think most Vermonters are tourists in autumn. I mean,
that's so true.
I love May, the beginning of spring here, where everything starts to blossom. But I think most Vermonters are not just proud to have people come and visit us from all over. And it's not even about the economy, but it's about, this is where we live. We get to see this every day.
Yeah.
And most people I know, we don't take it for granted.
That's
we
so
love
true.
looking at it.
That's so true. When you said that, I feel like I get that. I feel like that's true. That I feel like I'm a tourist, right? When the leaves change color and I'm just looking like I've never seen it before.
Exactly.
Because it's so beautiful.
It is, and we are so blessed to live here. And the fact that it's so small that, well, people know everybody, and we all know each other, kind of. We're all connected.
Again, that community, that connection.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Terry, for sitting with me today and
my pleasure.
sharing with everybody and with me. And you're a dear friend, and I appreciate you.
Next time we
on.
should hang out without the cameras going.
All right,
Cheers, my friend.
Cheers to that. And thank you all so much for joining us today. And I'll see you next time on Tea and Talk.